guys, Constance here from Cosmopolitan Cornbread. So today I want to talk to you about something that is kind of timely with it being the new year. A lot of times when a new year comes around, people are getting new planners, new calendars, and all of that. So I thought I would take a minute to talk about the system that I use. I actually kind of combined two systems. If you are familiar with bullet journaling is a system that was devised a few years ago where you basically make a custom planner out of a journal or notebook, and it's a kind of a cross between a planner and a journal. Now some people use it like an actual journal where they do daily writings and things like that. Now I use it for a planner, but I have taken a bullet journal and I have combined that with something called a traveler's notebook. I did a video about this I think around 2 years ago or so when I first purchased the one that I have here, but since then I've changed the way I do it, so I thought I would very simply give you an updated walkthrough of my system. Now when I first got started doing the bullet journaling, I used one of these. This is just basically it's a journal, and I like the size of it because it's 8x5. 8x5 is very handy to me. It fits in my purse, it can go with me, but it's not so small that I can't fit the stuff I need to write down. Now I have a very simplified bullet journal, and I basically just use it as a calendar. I'll have a page that is the schedule for the month, things that are going on. So this is my 2015 bullet journal, and what I would do is I would set up a page that had my calendar. I would mark the number of the day, and then I would put the letter of what day of the week it was, just to make it easier when I'm scheduling things. And then I would simply write in whatever I had going on. And then on the very next page I would start with my note-taking. Things from meetings, things I needed to do, basically whatever I needed to write down for the month. Then once I got to the end of the month, I would start the next one. I would put down the calendar and I would write everything that was going on. Now, back when I was doing it this way, I would go ahead and I would start the next month's calendar before the previous month was finished, and so I would estimate how many pages I would need for my notes, and it never failed. I always had either too many pages left over, so I was wasting pages, or I didn't have enough, and so I felt like this wasn't quite working for me. And so then I moved on to this. This is a traveler's notebook. It is a basically it's a leather case that holds multiple of these right here. These are similar sized, so I like the size for the same reasons as I like the other one. But because this would hold multiple notebooks, smaller notebook, I had it set up where one notebook was simply my calendar, and then the next notebook in there would be my notes. And then I had a couple other notebooks in there for different purposes. And I liked having those separate books for things that maybe I'm gonna use for more than 1 year. Things that carry over from 1 year to the next. And so having them in here together was working great, except I really liked being able to go back to that year's bullet journal and finding all of the things that had gone on that month. I liked being able to go back to, okay, I was at a conference in this year, in this month, let me go back to the notes I took at that conference. I can pull up my bullet journal from that year, I can flip back to that month, and I can look at my notes from the conference. And so I really missed being able to do that while at the same time liking the separate notebooks for other purposes. So what I have done is I have combined the two. I went and I ordered 2 of these Erin Condren notebooks, because these ones here, I loved these, I loved the size, I loved everything about them, but where I had bought them I couldn't get them anymore, and I tried searching on Amazon and I just wasn't finding them. So I started focusing on trying to find a notebook that was the same size as this so that I could fit it inside my traveler's notebook. And so what I went with was Erin Condren notebooks. These are almost the exact same size. I mean, you can barely tell that there's any sort of difference. So I bought two because they had a sale. I think it was like free shipping if you spent so much. So I bought two to get the free shipping. I just bought two that had different covers because, you know, I wanted to mix it up. And I figure I'll use this one this year and then I can just save this one for next year. So what I'm going to be doing is using this journal in the front for most of the things I did with this. I'm doing the calendar and I'm doing my notes by the month and all of that. But behind that journal, in the next section, I have a couple of the little Kahir's notebooks. And these are things that I will probably use for more than 1 year. I have used for more than 1 year, a couple of them. And I just like having them all together with my planner. But moving back to the journal itself, I will see if I can move this camera and show you a little bit better how I have it set up. Alrighty, so inside my traveler's notebook, I have, in the very front, I have the bullet journal. And in the first page of the bullet journal, I have a key. So the great thing about the bullet journaling system is that it isn't a set system that can't be changed. For instance, all of the symbols that you see here are things that I'm going to use in my planner, whether it's in the calendar itself or if it's in the notes that I'm taking. And these are things that I need, things that work for me, but somebody else might not. For instance, well, let me just go through them. The little dot just represents an item or a note. A circle is something that needs to be done, a to-do thing. Now, if I don't get it done that month and it needs to get moved forward to the next month, then I draw an arrow pointing forward, meaning it's migrated to the next month's calendar. If I've completed it, I'm either going to fill in the circle or I'm going to put a big old check mark next to it. I put both on here because I tend to use both. If it is something that gets canceled, that I'm not going to do or what have you, then I X it out. The next two I have here are triangles. Because I'm a YouTuber and a blogger, I have symbols in here that I need that work for my schedule and my note-taking. If it's a triangle, it's something that I need to do that's YouTube related. If it's something that gets moved forward, then it has an arrow moving forward, just like the items that I have up here. And I didn't put the check mark or the fill-in thing because that's kind of self-explanatory for those. Same thing with the blog. For me, the blog is a square. If it's something I need to write about or something I need to do in relation to my blog, that's how I mark it. That's how I make note of it. And then whatever it is that I have going on up here, if it is something that is extremely important that I need to do right away to make sure I don't forget, I put an asterisk next to it. That means it is prioritized, and if it's really, really, really important, I'm going to put a couple of asterisks. Alright, so after my key, I have a calendar. Now, some people will get very artistic and they will draw their calendars and they'll decorate it and all of that. I try to keep things easy. I printed out a 1-month calendar, cut each month into separate pieces, and taped it in to my calendar. Now, in the past, let me see if I can find it here, I took a month calendar and I just put it on the inside of the cover. But I like doing it this way because there's a space next to each month where I can write some things. If I've got something coming up a few months from now, I don't have pages set up yet for those months, and so I'm just going to write it next to the calendar month so that when I get to that part of my bullet journal, I will be able to go ahead and add them right in to the schedule. For instance, in October, there is a conference taking place that I will be going to, and I wanted to make sure I have that in my calendar. I'll also write in birthdays and things like that. Now, the next 4 pages I actually left blank so that down the road, if I think of something that I really need at the very beginning of my bullet journal, I'll have some space to put that in there. Like I said, I'm kind of going back to doing this, and so I want to have a little bit of flexibility. Now, here is my month of January, and one of the things that I have done, you can see in my older ones here, I had pages marked, and I just used decorative tape I have a couple of different kinds here, a couple different styles. These were given to me by a friend. I like to mark the edge of the calendar page because then it's really easy as you're flipping through the pages to go back a month or 2 months or what have you. Now, these Erin Condren notebooks, I think they're fantastic. I love them. They're pretty and all of that. What I really like is that the paper does not bleed through. So I have a bunch of writing on this page. There is no bleeding through over here. And so it's nice thick paper. Also has the little ribbons so that you can keep your spot marked. Unfortunately, it doesn't have 31 lines on the page. So to adapt to that, I went numbers 1 through 26, and then I just put 27 through 31 down here at the bottom of the second page. At the top of the second page, I have this month, and these are items that I need to do. For instance, at the very top, I have a triangle with bullet journal travel notebook. That was a reminder for me to do this video. Now, when you're using only one line per day on your calendar for just what's happening, you might not always have enough room. So then what I did, for instance, I have something written down in my calendar over here, but I have the address of where it's going to be up over here so that I can easily find it when I'm looking at my calendar. So then the very next page is where the note taking is going to start. This is where I will have my meetings, where I will do my notes, my journaling, so to speak. And I will just continue to do just like I did in my other journals, where I did all my note taking chronologically, and then I'm able to go back later and find everything. And the issue that I had where I didn't always know how many pages I was going to have because, you know, you get to the middle of January and now you've got stuff starting to get scheduled for February. I would then estimate the number of pages I might need and start my February calendar. And that's where I was having all of the issues with either not enough space or wasted space. And so what I'm simply going to do is when I have things that need to go on next month's calendar, I'm just going to flip right back here to my year at a glance, and I will write it on the calendar next to that month so that when that month comes around, I'll be able to put it in the schedule. So that is essentially my super simple bullet journal. And then the traveler's notebook stuff, you know, using the additional notebooks for different things. I have one of the Cahir's notebooks here, the moleskin notebooks. This one is stuff that I will use more than 1 year. This is everything Cosmopolitan Cornbread related. Generally, it is ideas. It's my idea list. If there is a topic I want to vlog about, if there is a topic I want to write about, a video I want to do, you know, sometimes you'll be brainstorming and coming up with ideas and you need some place to write them all down. And so then down the road, when you need an idea, you need something to write about, I can just pull this out and look at all of my ideas and get to work. I've had this notebook since I started doing the Traveler's Notebook itself a couple years ago. So the third one, the second Cahir's, is new to me this year, and what I am doing is I am having a separate location for anything scripture or faith related. If I'm doing my daily Bible reading and I come across something that I want to make note of, or I really feel like God is showing me something, this is where I'm going to keep all of those notes. They'll have a designated place. They won't be mixed up with all of my day-to-day notes, and I'll be able to find them more easily. And then my third Cahir's notebook, my fourth in my Traveler's Notebook, is quotes. This is, again, another one that I've had for a couple of years now. So anytime I hear any sort of quote or a specific scripture, maybe not study related, but just something that somebody says that I want to make sure I remember, that is what goes in the last notebook that I have in here. For instance, I will share one of my little tidbits with you. Your plans are fine as long as you realize God has a right to change them. That is a quote that I loved. It was something that someone I know said, and I thought it was really good, and I wanted to remember that. And so I wrote that in my quote book and attributed it to the person who said it. It was our chaplain when we lived in Alaska. It was something that he said one day when life had thrown him a wrench and he was trusting God anyways. So that is it. That is my kind of hybrid bullet journal and traveler's notebook together. Over the years, I have used many different kinds of planners. I've wasted money on planners that I would get and they just were not working for me. And when I started doing the bullet journal thing a couple of years ago, it really, really worked for me. I really liked it. It's the only planner system that I have stuck with, not only for a whole year, but multiple years now. And it really works for me. There's lots and lots of videos out here on YouTube where people walk you through their bullet journal system and what they do. A lot of people use it as a creative outlet. There's doodling, there's artwork, there's all that stuff. And while I do love to doodle, and there are lots of doodles in some of these pages, that's not generally what I do it for. You know, I'm not into all of the stickers and the colors and all that stuff. I just like it very utilitarian, and it works for me. So if you want more information about bullet journaling, be sure to check out some of the videos that you can just do a search and you'll find gazillions of them out there. So, but I just wanted to share with you how I'm doing it. I'm doing a little bit of both, the traveler's notebook and bullet journaling together, and it works for me. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching. My name is Constance. This is Cosmopolitan Cornbread, and until next time, love and blessings.